Center for Spiritual Living on this glorious spring day. It feels like we're slowly but surely really getting into spring. So, and it's a perfect time for us to move into our new topic, The Art of Living, from our Joyous Freedom Journal. We'll be exploring that in lots of different ways. And the companion book this month is It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes. Now, I want to say something about this book. Alva picked it for the Wednesday night series, and it is a perfect book to prepare for our Easter service, which is the 31st of March. So we'll be picking things out of it throughout the month, but you definitely want to read it in preparation for Easter morning, March 31st. Okay, so that's our companion book for this month.
Hi, I'm Petra Weldes, Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday. And we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
My parents moved me and my brother from India to the United States when I was 4 and my brother was 3. And the first thing I remember about my dad was every night after dinner, he put on his favorite record. And his favorite record was one by Ravi Shankar. He put it on the turntable and turn up the volume really loud and go to the wall, switch off the lights and come back to the middle of the living room floor and squat down, close his eyes. And he'd sit still there for forever. But sooner or later, his head would start to move and he'd start to sway. A couple times, I remember the spirit getting a hold of my dad and him literally getting up on his feet and whirling around the room like a dervish. And I remember telling my brother, man, there's something really wrong with Dad. I didn't get it then. But I get it now. I think what my dad was doing was trying to get in touch with something that was really ancient in his bones. It was imprinted in his DNA. It was a place where he could just go, and in spite of 4 kids running around yelling, he could find a place of quiet. So every time I talk to my dad, I see him that way. So I have a song that goes with that story, and I'd like to ask you to help me sing it, okay? So I'm going to sing a phrase, and you repeat it after me, okay?
And stone overhead, a crown of seagulls underneath the rishi throne. turn sideways, understanding every song in the garden. Rosebuds glisten in the path of Rishi's sun. Rosebuds blue, Rishi's footprints trail the sunset. I suspect what Rishi knew.
You, God, who live next door. If at times through the long night I trouble you with my urgent knocking, this is why. I hear you breathe so seldom. I know you're all alone in that room. You should be thirsty. There's no one to get you a glass of water. I wait, listening always. Just give me a sign. I'm right here. As it happens, the wall between us is very thin. Why couldn't a cry from one of us break it down? It would crumble easily. It would barely make a sound. You, God, there in the next room. This was written by Raina Marie Rilke in his Book of Hours. Jimmy and Kyle Galbraith just gave me this beautiful work, and I've been familiar with his material, but not this particular piece, this particular book. So today, as we enter into the joy of living, and we think about the art of living, and we think about how do we find a ground of being? How do we find a place to begin? How do we find a place to stand? Well, we find it, of course, in our relationship with the One, in our relationship with the whole, in our recognition of the truth of who we are. And we explore that in lots of different ways. We discover that, we deepen into that in lots of different ways. And primarily, we do that through our spiritual practices. It's always a little odd to come before you and say, now we're going to talk about meditation, or we're going to talk about prayer, or we're going to talk about a spiritual practice, when actually what we should be doing is engaging in them. And yet we have a very short period of time on a Sunday morning, and my hope is that what I can do is inspire you or invite you or coax you into a deeper spiritual practice, which then we provide obviously lots of ongoing opportunities to have that experience and to go deeper with it. So I'm going to begin by telling you a story on my sabbatical that came from my sabbatical. As you know, I was in Europe for almost 3 months at the end of last year. And oh my gosh, I had the most amazing experience of being able to walk through the countryside, through the Alps, in Germany and Holland and France. And you know, they don't have fences there. It's really amazing. And so when you go wandering, you literally go wandering in the countryside. And you wander past somebody's grapevines, and then you wander past somebody else's wheat field, and there's no barbed wire fences. You can just wander around, and I found it very very pleasing to my soul, very filling. I'm, of course, as you know, a nature girl, coming from the Northwest for so long. Hiking and being out in the mountains are they're one of the places where I go to remember. So, coming to Italy for the conference that I was doing there, I was facilitating a group with Michael Beckwith, and there were lots of people from all over the world there. It was a bit of a shock. After all that quiet time, I had to work. I don't know that I wanted to work. And I certainly did not want to be in a hotel room day after day after day when I had just spent day after day after day after day out in the countryside. So after a couple of days there, I found myself leaving the back door, going out across the parking lot, and finding there on the street a small strip of pine trees, some kind of a cypressy kind of pine tree. And I made my way over there, and all of a sudden, it was better again. So I sat down with my back against one of the trees, and I found 2 little pine cones that were still hooked together, and I put them in my hand. Right there, in my hand, all I'll ever need to remember about God. All I'll ever need to remember about the divine, right there, I held in the palm of my hand. And what it called to me, what it reminded me of is that is the gift that we give to life. The ability to see the divine. Without us, there's no one to smell the flowers. There's no one to shuffle through the leaves and hear them crinkle in the fall. There's no one to look at the seed and see the potential oak or sequoia in it. Now, we are not necessarily the only self-conscious beings in the universe, and we may not necessarily be the only self-conscious beings on the planet. But our self-consciousness is the way and the gift that we give to the One. There was a fabulous YouTube thing that floated around the other day, and I was so tempted to play it this morning. It was a beautiful thing called I Am Loved. I hope you've had a chance to see it. And beautiful work by a guy who was doing a religion and art final project, and an exploration of space. And it ended with, "You are loved. You are loved." But I want to say to you that you are the love. You are the love. You are the love, the way, the place where that love makes itself manifest. And you are the place where that love sees and is seen. I think it is equally as important for us to experience the presence of the divine in our life. It is equally as important for us to be witness to the presence of the divine, to give witness to it. And we give witness to it in our practice, in our spiritual practice. Now, I've done meditation for 32, 33 years. I had an amazing meditation instructor. He'd been part of the Paramahansa Yogananda Fellowship. He had been a monk and had an extraordinary, I was so gifted. I was so blessed with this gift of having this meditation teacher. And have had a lovely experience with meditation after a very long while. The first few weeks, months, I would say even years that I meditated. Okay, I'm still meditating. Yes, I said I would sit here and meditate. Surely I'll see something. Have some vision, have some experience. Well, I was not one of those people, let me just tell you. Everybody else was having these extraordinary visions and these extraordinary experiences, and they were feeling the presence of the divine, and they were floating off into space, and I was sitting on my cushion going, okay, I'm meditating. Because I said I would meditate. And I love the really classic form of meditation. It's the form of meditation that I teach, and it's the form of meditation that I practice. And I find it, over time, I have grown to love it, and I find it very powerful. I urge you to take meditation classes. But I'm going to read from our journal. This is today's reading from Joy's Living Journal, Enjoy Yourself, March 3rd. Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that meditation is as easy as simply sitting and enjoying being with yourself. What if it really was as simple as that? No elaborate rituals or techniques, no extraordinary discipline required, simply relaxing into the idea of enjoying your own company, being with yourself. That's it. What if our spiritual practice was as simple as sitting and being with ourselves, taking the time, the breath? Sometimes it's just a breath. Sometimes it's 30 minutes to just enjoy being with ourselves. But that begs the question, do I enjoy being with myself? And who is this self I am supposed to enjoy being with? I don't always enjoy being with my judgmental self, my frightened self, my arrogant self, my opinionated self, my let's figure it out self. Who is this self I am to enjoy? For myself, one of the things that I've realized in the last few years is that while meditation is a deep and powerful spiritual practice for me, my spiritual practice is actually this thing called spiritual mind treatment that we teach here, affirmative prayer. Ernest Holmes says, spiritual mind treatment is the art and science of reminding ourselves of the truth. It is an opportunity to self-talk and to remember. To remember what's true about who we are. That we are not just the recipients of the love of the divine, that we are not just the recipients of life, but we are actually the place where consciousness is waking up and seeing itself and being itself and becoming more of all that it can be. Now that's a self I can enjoy. That's a self that we might want to sit down and be with in some way. So for me, spiritual mind treatment is not just a practice to demonstrate, although it is. We do our affirmative prayer so that we affirm a good in our life. But the actual doingness of the spiritual mind treatment, the actual living into the spiritual mind treatment is an opportunity for us to live into the truth of our being, for us to experience it. And I mean that truthfully, to experience it. Not just to think about it. Not just to say words about it. we're good at the words. I'll never forget having somebody come one time to, I think we were actually in our previous location, somebody came one time, and I can't remember what their spiritual path was, but it was not science of mind. And they came to do a workshop, and we did some prayer, and we did some things, and we did, some of our things, and this person was like, wow, you guys are in love with your words.
Words.
Gives one pause, doesn't it? It isn't the words, it's the experience of it. So what happens when we do a spiritual mind treatment? In this, our little book, it's up to you. Alva's going to be working with this book in the Wednesday night series. And as I said, it really sets us beautifully up for Easter Sunday. So I highly encourage it. But there is later in the book a chapter on prayer. And Ernest Holmes says this: prayer is essential, not to the salvation of the soul, for the soul is never lost, but to the conscious well-being of the soul, which does not understand itself. And what is that conscious well-being of the soul but to remember the truth of who we are? And so he goes on to talk about the recognition step and the unification step and the realization step, that these are the practices of remembering and doing more than just saying the words, but actually imagining the lived, embodied experience that what we are saying is true. Actually is true. Actually is so. He says this: meditation, which is recognition and unification in our spiritual mind treatment, meditation is a conscious attempt to establish in one's mind the recognition that a unity exists between us and God. Not just to say the words, oh, I'm one with God, God is all there is, and God is part of me, but to recognize and experience that. You see, when I walked through the woods, and I looked at that little the little pine cones in my hand in Italy, I was reminded of life. All life, there is life. And that life is everywhere, and it's the same life. So here's what I do. Here's what I do in our prayer. When we do our spiritual mind treatment, here's what I do. One of the things that I discovered, much to my shock and amazement the other day in spiritual economics, as we were having this conversation, is that I don't actually ever use the word God in my spiritual mind treatments. God comes with a lot of trappings and old images, and still not quite free of all of that. So where do we start? We start by imagining the immensity of the universe. Just do that if you would for me. You don't even have to close your eyes. Just try to get a feel for, okay, like the physical universe. So the solar system, our solar system. Okay, now we're out past Pluto, Neptune, the galaxy, the Milky Way. If you've seen pictures from Hubble telescope, can you just stretch your imagination as far as you can stretch it out? We're told by the scientists that it's an infinite physical universe. And what we know is that the physical universe is simply an outpicturing of the infinite spiritual reality. So we have an infinite physical universe. Can you feel it start? Not just intellectually imagining. Now I want you to actually start to feel it. Push out into that infinity. Just push out into it. Feel it. Sense it. And there's a whole nother infinity beyond that. And what does it contain? Light, stars, galaxies, beauty, hummingbirds, roses, power, waterfalls, and stars that go nova, and peace, the infinite reaches of space that are so quiet. And we can come to this planet, we can come stand on this planet, and we can feel stability as we contemplate the mountain. And we feel grandeur and majesty if we just imagine its poetry. And we can experience all of the qualities of the one. You see, in our imagination and in our lived experience, if we, as we recall that this physical reality that we've just been playing with, these experiences and expressions, these are expressions of the one life, the one infinite reality, the one ultimate substance from which all of life springs and is created. That's what we're to remember. We are to remember that. And everything that we can imagine might be true of that. And to remember it and imagine it so completely, so fully, that we experience it in our bodies. Oh my God! That is the infinite reality, and it is one life, all expressed in all those many ways. Ernest Holmes talks about, well, there's one life, so take an elephant and take a mouse. Does one have more life than the other? No, one's just bigger than the other. Has more physicality. The elephant has more physicality than the mouse, but would we say that the elephant is more alive? No, it's alive, isn't it? It's consciousness as an elephant, consciousness as a mouse. I said it a few weeks ago. In the Hindu tradition, there's an understanding. Consciousness sleeps in the rocks, waves in the plants, moves in the animals, and awakens in the human consciousness. Consciousness. Do you see? Consciousness is, we can call it life, we can call it the universe. It is consciousness itself. It's what everything is made out of. And in this moment, with us, in this place of self-consciousness, that consciousness has emerged so that it can see itself, witness itself, experience itself, and celebrate the beauty, celebrate the magnificence, celebrate the joy and the infinite nature of itself in some extraordinary form. So when we are doing our spiritual practice, we are not just experiencing the presence and the reality of the infinite mystery. We are actually being the infinite mystery, giving the gift of recognition back to it. We are hearing God's cry from the other room. And we're answering the call. And we're seeing that we too, if it's an elephant's life and a mouse's life, am I any different? Are you any different? Could we say that somehow my life isn't a part of that life, or your life is somehow not a part of that life? Well, of course not. If we go back to that infinite reality of the universe, and here we are as a piece of it, as a part of it, we are just as much a part of it as every atom and every quasar and everything in between. Consciousness is awakened in us, expressing and experiencing itself in us. And so, when we stand in that place where we can feel and imagine the infinite reality, and when we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're a part of that infinite reality, that our life is the same life, now we can look at creation and we can look at our own creation. And we can accept the stability of the mountain. We can accept the beauty of the rose. We can accept the peace of space. We can accept any piece and part and aspect of that life that we feel is missing, that we are lacking, or that we want more of. Do you see? And in doing so, we are providing a place in which the divine is recognized and expressed. Our desire to do this is our gift to God, our gift to life, just as its life is its gift to us. the hour is striking so close above me, so clear and sharp that all my senses ring with it. I feel it now. There's a power in me to grasp and give shape to my world. I know that nothing has ever been real without my beholding it. All becoming has needed me. My looking ripens things, and they come toward me to meet and be met. I feel it now. There's a power in me to grasp and give shape to my world. I know that nothing has ever been real without my beholding it. You see, when we stand in that place of infinite reality and we behold the truth, we behold the truth. We call it forth. We make it real. All becoming has needed me, my looking, for it to become real, to be expressed, to emerge in my own life. My looking ripens things, and they come toward me to meet and be met. And you see, in the practice of the recognition of the truth and the realization that we're intimately, infinitely one with that, as that being, it becomes so effortless to accept this great good is not only out there, but is also here and in my life. And sure as God made little green apples, it is in your life too. Our looking is the recognition of it. Our looking at the truth is the recognition and causes it to be revealed in life. I think this is one of the most beautiful descriptions of the meditation experience, or the experience of prayer, that I have ever read. I love the dark hours of my being. My mind deepens into them. There I can find, as in old letters, the days of my life, already lived and held like a legend and understood. Then the knowing comes. I can open to another life that's wide and timeless. I love the dark hours of my being. The dark hours, the quiet moments, the simply sitting and being with ourselves and enjoying that truth. That I'm a place where love is manifest. That you're a place where grace is showing up. That you're the very author of love and life itself. And you are the expression, unique and perfect, just as you are. That is the you that is to be enjoyed. I love the dark hours of my being. My mind deepens in them. Do you see the contemplation, the rich contemplation? What does it mean? What does it really mean? What does it feel like to really experience this infinite reality as the truth of my being? And there I can find, as in old letters, the days of my life already lived. Is that not what we do in our affirmative prayer? It is already so. I speak it as if it is already done. I see it, but of course, if the mountain is stable, I have stability. If the tree is growing, of course there's growth in my life. Do you see? It's already lived. We are simply recognizing it and claiming it, and it is held like a legend and understood. Then the knowing comes. I can open to another life that's wide and timeless. The more that we spend time in cultivating that experience, whether we do it through a classic meditation practice, whether we do it through the deliberate steps and practice of spiritual mind treatment, whether we do it painting a painting or walking in nature, the more that we deliberately cultivate the experience of what does it really mean for this to be true, the more that we are exploding into that wide and timeless life. And then we discover right there we are. And we can sit and enjoy being with ourselves. So I just invite you to go with me for a moment. Just taking that breath. That inner breath. There's something so amazing about the breath as it mimics the giving and receiving of life. As we take in the breath, so we take in the life. And as we release the breath, so we release our recognition and knowing back into life. We are the place where the infinite is made recognizably manifest. And we give back to God our recognition of wholeness, of love, of joy in all its forms, of beauty every place we can look. And we are filled by these truths. And like our breath, we are in reciprocity with the infinite, exchanging truth with truth, presence with presence, love with love.